All right, let's get in here. Good morning, good afternoon. Well, no, it's still morning here on the East Coast as well. My name is Aurelia Winn, checking in. Today, I want to introduce you all to Miss J.B. Lee. She's the author of Hope City, Bella's Story. Her book is available for pre-order. And so she'll be joining us here in just a few. Hello, hello, come on in. We will be meeting the author. Meet the author of Hope City. Putting this in the chat. Hope City, Bella's Story. Boom, 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 boom. Done. Okay. Okay, now let me invite her in. There she is. Okay. Oh, there she goes. Hey. All right, let me add you on there. What's it doing? Oh, there we go. I sent you the invite to join me. So once you accept that, it will have you. Oh, there you are.
Hi.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
How you
How are
doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good,
It's kind
good,
of
good.
it's a little chilly here, but I'm ashamed to say like chilly for me is like 71. So I'm snuggled up.
Where are you again?
I'm in Florida.
All right, fine.
So you know. I know you know what I'm talking about. That's why I'm like, I'm gonna say it, but shoot, that's how I'm doing. That's how I'm doing. I'm snuggly today, this morning. Yeah. I got my coffee. I'm ready for a good chat.
Listen, here it is very cloudy, rainy, and cold. Not chilly,
Okay.
cold, okay?
Okay.
I think we're like 35, 37.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. I know you're not gonna be like chili. Yeah.
Listen, but okay, I get it. I used to live in Florida. I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I know you're cuddled. Are you all cozy too?
I am. I have my sweaters. No,
Yeah. Okay. Not just your hoodie. I just got
no,
on
no,
a
no. I
hoodie and
have
my little.
sweaters.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's wonderful. And so, for those that
Yes.
don't know, this is Miss JB Lee, the author of Hope City, Bella's Story. If you don't mind, I know who you are, but for the audience that's just coming or who will be watching the replay after this is over, if you don't mind introducing yourself and telling us about your book.
Sure. So my author name is J.V. Lee, and it's actually an acronym Jackson Butterfly Lee for my name, which is Lee Jackson.
Mm.
And I basically I'm a jack of all trades. I am a holistic skin care creator. I've managed administrations. I am a mother of two, 23. Oh my goodness, and 20.
Wow, yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. And I just have a passion for writing. Always have since I was about 8 years old is when I actually wrote my first book.
Mm.
um, yes, yeah, it's not published and it's definitely not to be shared, but it was my
Okay.
first time dabbling into writing. And I love poetry. It's actually my passion.
Mm.
And I'm actually considering publishing my poetry book because I have like tons of them. Um, so yeah, basically, my book is an inspiration of my life, my
Mhm.
childhood into adolescence, and the the characters are depictions of who I am or who I was at that time and my experiences. So
Mhm.
that's where Hope City comes into play, and the character Bella. She's a smidgen of me, but the rest of the characters actually have little pieces of me as well.
Nice. Nice, nice, nice. And I wanted to, let me see, I'm going to turn my camera around. I had it pulled up. There's the cover for those who haven't seen it yet. Hope City, Bella's story. So beautiful.
Thank
I
you,
love
thank
it.
you,
I love it. I love it so much.
thank you,
And
thank
so
you.
it's on pre-sale, pre-order right now at winnpublications.com. So you guys check that out. Wow, okay. And so let's get right into it. So you already told us then how you created your character Bella.
Mm-hmm.
And what about, so in a story, Bella, she really, or you tell me, does she also have a passion for poetry? And then if so, how did you manage to weave that in there?
She does, again, because she is a small smidgen of me. She conveys her emotions through writing,
Mm,
and because of the way poetry is, basically it's like a song and dance, how it's put together, and
yeah,
she is kind of a little closed off, or yeah, she's a little closed off. She doesn't know how to express herself emotionally when it comes to like really tapping into those emotions. So she expresses herself through poetry.
nice. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's National Poetry Month, so shout out to all the poets out there and all the poets who include poetry in their other genres of work. I think that's so cool. I love it. And so then what are some of the themes then that's in the book outside of poetry? What else can we expect from it?
So she is coming from Hope City is a depiction of New York City or the city life that I was raised in.
Mhm.
And so she's a young lady from the project. So she's dealing with a lot of chaos that's happening her in her surroundings as well as in her home. She has parents who are dealing with addiction issues. She has little siblings that she has to take charge of because she is the oldest. She has a lot of responsibilities, but she also has a goal in mind to want to proceed and get out of the city and just look, for a brighter future. Then she also has a group of friends who she loves, and they love her, and they have like a core, like a strength, and they help guide her with motivation and just pretty much just embodying that she is special and she does have a voice, and she can rely on them. And then she has an aunt that she is extremely close to, who's basically like it's her best friend, her mom, her sister, all in one. And they have a beautiful bond. So you're going to see a lot of connections, obstacles that she has to overcome, and ultimately just entrusting herself that she does have a voice and she can express what she's feeling.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Obviously, I've already read the book, and so I'm so excited. I can't wait for others to get this into their hands. And so, what then is? Would you say is the overall message of the book? Like, what do you hope readers gain from it?
I'm hoping that give readers gain, especially young adults, that confidence is, we all have confidence. We just have to
Mhm.
seek it out. And sometimes it takes a tribe to help bring that out. And we all have a voice that needs to be heard. And if it needs to be expressed, whether it's vocally, through arts, through what have you, you have the ability to bring that out and have your voice heard. And basically, what you're going through, you're not alone in it.
Mhm.
You're not. It may seem like you are at that moment in time, that no one will understand, but if you actually have a core of friends and family that can actually support, and you listen, you let out your frustrations, then you'll see that you're not the only one, and your world is not crumbling, and it's not the end of the world. um, It'll just be challenging, but you are strong enough
Mhm.
to push through and see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. No, that's a message for us this Saturday. That's so
Yes.
true. You know, it's always been so interesting to me, and maybe you can share. I haven't been able to put it into words, but for poetry, I feel like it's a unique way to express our emotions. But I always wondered, like, how come sometimes poets just don't say it straight out? Like, if you know what you're feeling, how is it that you're able to turn it into a poem? but maybe not like just straight out. Am I making sense? Like just a
Yes.
straight, like as clear as possible.
Right.
Because some poetry it can be like, what are they saying? Like, what are they getting at? Do you, does that
Well,
make sense?
it does. It does. It
Okay.
does. Actually, one of my main poets that inspired me to navigate in that way of expressing myself was actually Shakespeare, because Shakespeare, he
Mm,
talks in a lot of
yeah.
twists and tongues. But what I love about poetry in itself is because it can be interpreted by the person who is reading it.
Mm,
There is no right or wrong way of reading and understanding. So I may be writing and it's a hateful, frustration that I'm going through, but you may view it as, oh, she's hurt from either a loved one or so
yeah.
forth. So it's based on interpretation. And the way I see poetry is like when a painter paints.
Yeah.
You can't say that that's wrong or what have you. Everyone has a different way of interpreting that paint.
Yeah.
And that's the same goes with poetry. And so I love the words. I love just putting words and metaphors and things of that nature that remind you that sometimes we can't verbally say what we're feeling,
Mm,
and we don't know how to connect the dots or even convey it to the next person for them to understand.
mm,
But when we put into words and we give them, metaphors and like, okay, it feels like the ocean is swallowing me whole. Okay, that's deep.
yeah.
So I just love that part of poetry.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's not meant to be simple for someone else to read it like, okay, I
Mm,
feel sad. No, it's
mhm,
deeper than that. It's deeper.
mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's good. You put it in. I mean, that's an excellent way to put it. It's like art. I'm gonna write it this way, and however it's received, then it's received that way. But you, the poet, know what you meant, and I feel like that's like you said. That's the same with people who paint. It's they know what they were trying to convey, and whether that's what the person looking at gets, then that's on them.
Right.
And I think that's true. And I think that in some cases, I that made me think about like when authors get like negative reviews on their books and stuff. They're like, "Oh, this person totally missed it," but that's okay. When you put your work out there, it's out there to be interpreted by whoever.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all different, but like you said, we're also very much alike. If it can happen to someone else, it can happen to you, both good and bad.
Absolutely.
So, wow, that's awesome. What else? Let's see. Okay, I have a question here. It says, how do you see literature, specifically poetry, influencing individuals like Bella in real life?
Well, I see it as a way of expression,
Mhm.
again, finding the words to actually verbalize.
Oh, your volume went off. We can't hear you. Okay. That's, oh,
Live and he's calling me. Why?
tell him text me or something. Yeah.
Messing up my flow. But yeah, once you give me a piece of paper and pen, and it's like it just flows
Mhm.
naturally. And I think it's more of a way of, ooh, finding the courage, because sometimes we get nervous when we're trying to speak our feelings to others, right? We're
Mhm.
afraid of their reaction. We're afraid to hurt people's feelings, in a lot of cases, and especially loved ones. So when you actually write your feelings down and put it in a way that it's kind of like a romance, you know what I mean? On
Mhm.
paper, it can be better received that way.
Mhm.
And so that's how I feel that everyone, should try it. Journaling is amazing. And if you're like, my journals are full of poems,
Yeah.
because that's how I express my feelings and my emotions. And sometimes, we can feel embarrassed, what we're feeling, but that's sacred to us. So we write it and we just, kind of like, okay, and keep it moving.
Mhm.
But it's a sense of security, and I think everyone should actually dabble
Mhm.
into writing of some
Yeah.
sort.
Yeah. No, I agree. Katira says, "Hello, ladies."
Hi! Katira, tell her how cold it is. She's talking about 71 degrees over there. And she's cold.
Yeah, it is. my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So what else? Let me see. Let me look at my questions. Now you got me all like,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I love a good joke. No, I know so many, like, I know so many people up north, and it's like, they're like, girl, it's freezing. I'm like, I'm cold too. I know you're not cold. I'm, it's 73 degrees. I'm like, I'm cold. I know. It's bad. It's bad. I know. I know. But you know what? This is what I love about it. And maybe you can share your experience just with even writing the book. For me, on my end, as a publisher and as a reader and as an author myself, what I love is this here, the cackling and the silliness, and
Right.
just being able to come together and create a community of, lately it's been Black women, but I did recently, thanks to Katira as well, get a male author. It had been some time since I worked with a male author, which,
Wow.
I thought, well, that's okay. I like working with my sisters. I like working with women. That's okay. And that wasn't intentional. But I'm like, okay. But I do enjoy, I enjoy this. I enjoy being able to, read books before everybody else and being
Mhm.
able to talk about it and stuff like that. And so that's what it's like for me. How's your experience been with the writing process and editing, and preparing to publish?
Okay, so believe it or not, Hope City was written 18 years ago. Yes, it was written 18 years ago, and I kind of, it was a way of expressing myself, dealing with childhood trauma, and everyone's childhood trauma is different, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? So I embodied a lot of those emotions into this book. However, I did not gain the courage to bring it forward until last year. And actually, it was Spirit told me it was time. It
Mm-hmm.
was time, and it was time. So I said, okay, it's
Mm-hmm.
time. So it's been an amazing experience working with Katira, who is my editor, and working with you as well, and just trying to navigate ideas and better ways to bring this to the public. And even this here, this is something that I am not accustomed to because I am a little shy when it comes to live videos and public speaking, but this has pushed me to have the courage to bring forward my voice. And
Mm-hmm.
I do have something to say, and I want to share, especially I have a passion for young adults. And it's just because I still embodied my emotions from when I was at that age and when I was experiencing them, the frustrations and not being heard or being misunderstood. And then I look at my boys who, again, they're 23 and 20, and I see how they view life and how sometimes, especially when they were a little younger in their early teens, how they just felt like their whole world was falling apart and like no one would understand. It's like, well, here, let me sit down with you and let me let you know that no, what you're going through is not new, but we're going to validate your feelings because feelings do need to be validated and never dismissed. And I just have a stronger connection with the young adults because there's, especially nowadays, they're expressing their ways. They're crying for help. They are crying for help,
Mm-hmm.
and the system has failed our youth. And I'm hoping that Bella is just one of the stories that can connect to at least one and have
Mm-hmm.
them understand that, look, this is what she's going through, similar to your story, and this is how she's overcoming them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's find a positive way to twist that around so that you can, basically find an outlet for you to express your feelings and, channel into the good because we're all creative on some level with something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So tap into that and let's move forward with that.
Yeah. No, that's good. And one thing that you had mentioned earlier that I wanted to talk about some more is just finding that tribe. I know there's so many people, especially if you're shy, man, it's hard to find that tribe. If you don't want to leave your house, or, it's hard to find that tribe, but it's important to me. I feel like it's important that you do. I know a lot of people, I think there's a time and a place for self-isolation and for being alone, but I also wholeheartedly believe that, man, we need other people as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. Fortunately, and in our upbringing, we didn't have social media, at least not to the magnitude that it is now.
Yeah.
So it was a lot easier to connect with people outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we have to figure out a way to, because we have to grow, right? Things
Mm-hmm.
are progressing, technology is progressing, and the youth are utilizing this form of communication a lot more. So how
Mm-hmm.
can we, generation, whatever we are, I think it's X or something like that we are, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
millennial. Are you
Yeah,
millennial?
millennial.
Yeah.
How can we help our youth connect here, but also convey the importance of human connection?
Mm-hmm.
Because we as human beings, we need connection. We need physical connection. We need that energy. Energy thrives off of energy.
Yeah.
So, although this is one source, but how do we convey the message that, okay, yes, you can meet your friends, you could talk this way, but let's step outside and let's go into nature and let's actually come
Mm-hmm.
together and vibe together. When Because of the youth, they just want to do what they want to do because that's just the nature of it, right? The growing
Yeah.
pains of it, right? The message that I would say is really start to tap into your gut feeling, how you feel
Mm-hmm.
about people in order for you to truthfully want to connect with them, because you just don't want to connect with just anyone because they may not be for your best interest.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes taking a step back and absorbing and looking around and seeing how they behave, how they treat their families, how they treat their others, because they may be cool with you, but then they're talking crap about somebody else. Is that someone you truly want in your circle? Because if you're about positivity, then it's positivity for everyone, not just for your selective
Yeah.
few. And so you can't get that through technology because messages are misconstrued, your emotions are
Mm-hmm.
taken for granted, or what have you. We tend to go ham on that text,
Yeah.
and it's like, and then the message is not well received, or it's just, again, misunderstood. So definitely removing yourself from technology for a moment and then stepping outside and actually vibing with your people is how you can establish a good core.
Hmm. Yeah, no, these are all, I believe these are all great tips. And our youth, I agree, our youth need these tips and these tools to be able to navigate. I know one of the things when you were talking about just kind of like meeting over just over the phone and technology, that's something that my daughter has started doing. She will be 10 later on this year, but her and her friends, they will meet and they'll play Roblox or Fortnite, but they'll all be like on the phone like this, video chatting. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
these are 10-year old. What are you guys doing? I'm like, we used to have to go to each other's
Right,
houses and like my mom would be putting my friends out because they would have been at the house all day. Like,
right,
y'all are sitting here on the phone. I'm like, but that's good. At the same time, I'm glad she has those social experiences like she's having
right.
right now, and she has friends that she can do that with. But I also think, and as I'm saying that, I'm like, myself as a parent, we have to make opportunities and space for these kids to have those in person connections as well. I think, I know for me, like sometimes I feel like I can be such a workaholic that I'm like, I'm in my room 24/7 because I work from here. So I'm like, I'm home all the time. I need to get out myself and make connections and also understand that my children need that as well. But
Mm-hmm.
I think like it starts as well with the parents having that understanding, like you got to get your kid up off the tablet out, get them from in front of the TV, get them into something.
Right.
But then there's also that part, and maybe you can chime in on this part here, is just the finances. Like things can be so expensive. So then it's like, well, I don't really have the money. So we just, being in the house is free. I got to pay for the air and the lights anyway. We're going to be here. How can we fix it?
Right, 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 right.
you know?
Well, yes, but a walk in the park is free,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. A walk around the neighborhood is free, you know.
Come on.
There's different ways, and every city has, if you look it up, they do have, like, free activities
Mm-hmm.
where you could take the youth. Walking around the mall is just as fine,
Mm-hmm.
Um, this it's just encouraging to go outdoors regardless of how the finances are, because I mean, it's expensive for us now, but I'm 100% sure that it was expensive for our parents back then too. They
Hmm.
just make do what they had. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So encouraging, like my boys, we definitely they started. That's when the phone came into play and a lot of the internet interaction. But we didn't allow our kids to have phones until they were 13. So they were like one of the very few, poor teenagers who didn't have, or preteens who didn't have a cell phone in school.
No, no. Yeah.
But it that's what shaped them. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so you're going to communicate your feelings person to person, you
Yeah.
know. My boys, they ride bikes. They go out and ride bikes. That's free.
Mhm.
I mean, you had to buy the bike, but actually here in Rochester, I don't think they have it in Florida, but here in Rochester they have, I believe it's either free or maybe a small fee where you can rent the bike or a scooter and you can go outdoors. Yeah. So there's things to be done outside that doesn't require a lot of money.
Mhm.
We have to get out of our heads that we need to always shower our children with finances.
Come
And
on.
because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what matters is morals and being able to communicate freely and have a trust between the two,
Mhm.
and showering with tangible things is just not going to create a bond between the relationship of parent and child. And then that relationship between parent and child actually transcends with their relationship with others, you
Yeah.
know? So, and then they will
Mhm.
understand that everything that they do, there's not always a financial reward with that, you
Mhm.
know? So,
Yeah.
and that humbles them, it keeps them humble and understanding. So,
Yeah, no, that's good. It's about the experiences, and we have to put effort. All of those things
yes,
you're saying
yes,
take a little bit of effort. You
yes,
got to get up.
yes,
That spirit of laziness. Oh, I'm talking to myself. We got to shake it off. We got to shake it off.
yes.
Especially when you get into those routines. I think, like earlier, Katara put, get your money's worth in the house. That's what I be on. Sometimes I'll be on that sometimes, but I'm like, okay, no, we got to get out, bond,
Yes.
and get back to that and enjoy. Even as parents, we have to remember, while this is our adulthood, if we
Mm-hmm.
have children, this is also their childhood. And how many of us adults have had to read some kind of self-help book, attend some kind of therapy because our parent didn't give us something? And we all can, I feel like that's a universal experience. Even as a
Absolutely.
parent, I still check with my kid like, hey, you
You
okay? What kind of
good?
therapy do you think you'll need when you get older? What's it gonna be? And I'm like, oh my God. But even I just honestly, I just feel like that's a universal experience. Is my parent didn't do something signed this way, and now I have the responsibility of fixing it. And depending on what the situation was, we all are handed our cards. But I think that's why I love this story. It's just it champions a way to express those feelings. Maybe you're not able to talk to anybody. Okay, well, what do I do with this other than something that's going to be destructive, right?
Right.
How can I take this emotion of whatever it is and create something
Right.
from it?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like the audience would be able to not only relate to Bella, but then there's the other characters in the stories that they also have creative outlets. And again, as I mentioned earlier, they are little pieces of me because actually, I'm a creative person, and anything that I touch becomes something. I like to work with my hands, but a lot of my hands come from my emotions. So I love photography. I love painting. I may not be a master at it, but I love it. And a lot of these things my children actually have um, been able to absorb because now my oldest, he's a muralist. My youngest, he is a photographer, and he does editing.
Nice.
So we have creativity juice, creative juices flowing throughout this entire home.
Mm-hmm.
My children's father, he is an amazing. He's an artist. He loves computers. He creates games. So it's like
Wow.
this, the type of energy that we are in, and so the characters in the book have pulled pieces of me on ways to express myself.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. And I think right there, that's a whole toolbox right there. Just start exploring different creative areas, whether like you said, it could be photography,
Mm-hmm.
painting,
Mm-hmm.
writing, creating games.
Right.
There's so many different things that you can get into. But I also like what you said, and I think that's important is to find like-minded, some kind of like-mindedness in some way, whether it be
Right.
through art or through your personal values. That's
Mm-hmm.
how you seek out those connections, right? We have to, seek out those connections. Even though we're talking about like young adults and youth, and as parents, we have to help our children seek out those connections and help them. Okay, well, what do you like to
Mm-hmm.
do? Even if you're not good at it, okay, let me create space for you so that way you can do that. And
Absolutely.
that's something that we do here in my household. Is my daughter, she likes to sew, so
Mm-hmm.
she has a sewing machine. I have her art all over my room. She does painting and stuff. We have a little painting thing in our back porch area, and so that's kind of the atmosphere that I've created here as well. Is just creativity, and so just as a way to express.
Mm-hmm.
um what else? Art as a tool for empowerment. I know we've talked about Bella, but let's talk about some of those other characters. Like what other characters are they, and what do they do? I'm intrigued.
Okay, so we have Jolie. Jolie is Bella's ride or die. She is her a spoon. She's everything to Bella, and she has a way of putting words to where it's like it just comes to her naturally. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So there's a part in the story where they're getting ready for a pep rally, and they are needing something to a banner, to put together a banner.
Mhm.
And it was like a last minute thing. And one of the girlfriends says, I need Jolie to, come up with something instantly. And she just magically just came up with this amazing idea of how to express the love of the school onto this banner. And then along with Bella came up with the wording. It was like just really quickly, they just vibe really well together. And so they were both able to come together and create this beautiful banner. Um, then we have Preciosa. Preciosa, she is the photographer. She's the what they call at back in my time they were called the grunge, because she dresses in all black, or tries,
Mhm.
even though they're in a private school, she has a lot of, she's goth. She has the dark
Mhm.
hair. She's always walking around with her camera, because she always says you will never know when you can't you got to capture every moment, basically. That's what she
Mhm.
says. So she's always taking pictures. And then you have our Francesca, she is the cheerleader. She's the fashionista.
I was gonna say she
She
sounds
is
fashionista. Yep.
yeah, she is a fashionista. She is, she's the one that when she walks in, everybody knows she's coming, because she has that fire red hair, and
Mhm.
her uniform, she created it because that's what she does. And so they each one of them, there, she sews. We have the photographer, then you have the poet, and then you have the one who just brings it all together. And that's how the four of them vibe really well.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And again, I feel like this is like the perfect little toolbox for our youth who's like, okay, what can I do? What am I going to do? What do I want to do? And let's
Right.
talk about it a little bit more. Just the courage that it takes to express yourself, one, and then two, in like an artistic or creative way. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it also takes a lot of courage, especially if you're going to share it. Like,
Right.
how has that been? I know for you, you said it took you 18 years. Girl, what? So let's talk about that some more. Let's get into that. Let's get into that. You said spirit led you. What does that look
Yes.
like for someone who might not be like, who might not understand what that is?
Well, okay. So the reason why it took me a long time to really just gain the courage is because I stifled myself.
Mm-hmm.
Although I had the support of my children's father, he motivated me to get it out there. I put my own blockage, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, no, no, no. I didn't feel like it wasn't good enough. I just wasn't ready.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't ready, and I'm a type of person who really don't like to be in the
Mm-hmm.
spotlight. So it took a lot of, well, I buried it and I just lived life. I raised my children, I worked, I went to school, and I just kind of like focus on those tangible things
Mm-hmm.
and not allow my creativity to flow.
Mm-hmm.
When I actually started my business in holistic skincare, this was about almost 8 years ago. I tapped into that passion of helping people and explaining things to people, of living a more of a natural life, a healthier life, preventative health, education. It's always been about education for me. Whatever I learn, I spill onto others. And so I kind of like I don't want to say sucked in, but I morphed my energy into that business. And just, I started realizing that when I asked myself, okay, so what is my purpose on this earth?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, the purpose is helping,
Mm-hmm.
getting the message across, whatever that message is. And so the light bulb was like, you know what? You love interacting with the youth. You have a book that you actually can, help them navigate through their obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
So let's bring that forward. Since you love helping people so much, and since you do have a connection with the youth, let's start with the book.
Yeah.
And so that's where I channeled my energy as of late, and it's been focusing on the book and getting it out there, because it's time, especially with the
Mm-hmm.
changes that we are experiencing since the pandemic, especially since the
Yeah.
pandemic. The youth has been like, they've been, and it's
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so that was it for me. And so for others who are experiencing some type of blockage, some type of obstacle, you're going to know when it's time. You just have to trust that you do know. You have to trust yourself, and it takes a lot and a long time to learn to trust yourself.
Come
Once you learn to trust yourself, then you'll be able to
on.
trust others. But it
Mm-hmm.
does take a lot of work. And sometimes, I mean, heck, I'm 40, I'll be 45, and it took me this long to trust myself,
Mm-hmm.
trust the voice, trust my gut,
Mm-hmm.
trust the energies around me. Um, sometimes it sometimes people just don't,
Yeah.
and they'll leave this earth not ever trusting themselves. So I'm hoping that with this book, and the message, and speaking to the youth, it gives them some form of light bulb, and like, you know what, okay, yes, I matter, and my
Mm-hmm.
feelings are valid, and I can find a way to express my feelings without hurting myself or others. And because, you know what, I do know how to draw. I love, when you find yourself doodling, and which I remember going back in memory, I'm always doodling. Like my grandmother, may she rest in peace, she used to get upset with me because I used to, my report card was always full of doodles.
Oh my goodness.
She's like, what is this? I'm like, I don't know. It's just, subconsciously, just
Right.
put a piece of paper and pen in front of me, and there's always some form of. And then it's
Mm-hmm.
just interesting because when you look into my oldest, his notebooks, same,
Yeah.
just a whole bunch of little drawings ever since he was little. So we all have it. We just have to have trust in ourselves to tap into it. And I know, and I'm not being naive that in some households it's hard, because there's just a lot going on. And in this book, you will see everything that Bella actually goes through in her home. Again, her parents suffer from addictions, and her siblings, they're little, so she has that responsibility of making sure that they are okay, whether eating, bathing, going put to bed, get ready for school, not to mention herself getting ready for school, getting herself ready to go to school. So she has all of these things that are just daunting, and you're trying to figure out, like, how in the heck is this young lady going to survive outside of the chaos that she is living? Well, again, having the right support system and having that belief within yourself. And eventually, when you have that belief within yourself, you're able to express it, whether it's verbally or physically, or even mentally, in the sense of seeing an outlet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I got a notification. Yeah, no, all that's good. I'm here soaking it up, and it's so true.
Mhm.
And that was something until like recently. One of my friends, we were in like a heat, like a conversation of passion similar to this, but she was like, girl, you can't trust yourself. And I automatically felt triggered. I'm like, who can't trust himself? I trust myself. I'm like, shoot, almost wanted to cuss right there, but I'm like, I trust myself. But at the same time, I could understand. Like, we had a moment where it was just quiet after us. I'm like, I trust myself, but dang, girl, like, you don't trust yourself? Oh, like, it made sense for me. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, okay. But I think in that instance, it was just a matter of, just grace, just giving her some grace and giving her some room to like express that. Because honestly, I don't think she ever said that. But for me, I didn't realize like people didn't trust themselves. Like, you don't trust yourself. For me, I'm like, and I can relate to that. There has been times where I didn't trust myself because of the trauma that I found myself in. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times it was with relationships. And so I do
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of like compassion, and I give people who are like, no, I don't trust myself. Or people will say, my picker is wrong. Like, a lot of my single friends, my picker is broken. Well, girl, you can fix that. There's some
Right.
things out there to help you fix that. But I can't just accept like the whole I don't trust myself. But I realized that it's a thing, and I realized that was somewhere that I was too. But when I didn't trust myself, I found myself in like some hands of people who I should not have trusted, but I trusted them over trusting myself when my gut was telling me no. But I'm like, well, I trust them. Oh, kind of naive, kind of
Right.
being stupid, didn't have no sense at that time, didn't have no real life experience. And so now as an adult, I'm right there with you. It's important to talk about these things. And for me, I feel like they're life skills. They're life skills, and it's something that it's not going to be taught in school. And
Mm-hmm.
so books and programs and whatever we can get out there to our youth, and even to adults. Adults need to be hearing these things, because you said you're 45, my girlfriend's 40. I turned 34 next month. I'm like, we got to start talking about this, because honestly, there's a lot of older women who would say, you know what, I actually do not trust myself. I actually do not trust my judgment towards people. Well, it's because you're not listening to yourself. You're not trusting your gut feelings, or you don't have the words to say. I found like for me, it was I didn't have the words to say. Oh, I can write a poem, but in the middle of the conversation, when it's getting uncomfortable, how do I
Right.
say, oh, I'm uncomfortable, I don't want to talk about that, instead of just not saying anything and sitting with that uncomfortability? Well, that's, you're repressing your emotions, and it's like, how do you make that shift?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is. It is. It's very difficult. And once again, we don't want to sound like, at least I know I don't want to sound like, um, it's all peaches and cream and roses.
Mm-hmm. Your phone's
Um,
blowing up.
like, okay, it's been 43 minutes, I can call now. um, yeah, I definitely don't want to come across as it's an easy walk to the park,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. I know that it's definitely not easy. It's not easy to find your voice amongst the chaos. It's
Yeah.
not. But we have to be willing to try and understand that everyone in your home or your surroundings, they're fighting their own
Yeah.
demons, and it's no reflection on you. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
your mom, your dad, or your loved ones, you look at them, everything that they say to you, you're going to take it personally because, well, they are who they are to you. But at the end of the day, each person is placed on this planet for a reason. We're supposed to walk our own path, and we have to go through our own experiences. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, the adult in your home or in your surroundings, they miss the way to communicate and tackle their own feelings. So they're lashing out. So
Mm-hmm.
once you get an understanding that, yes, they're your mom, your auntie, your grandma, whomever. they are also human beings, and they were once someone else's child. You know, they were once your age, and they didn't have an outlet to express what they were feeling. So they bottled all of that up, and now it's coming across that it's your fault. Okay. Once you have that understanding and you seek, because it's all about seeking outside of, like, a refuge, whether it's your teacher, whether it's your guidance counselor, your next door neighbor, whomever can shed some light into what's happening in your life, and where you can feel comfortable to express what's happening and how you're feeling, then you'll understand that, yes, they're going through it. Yes, they feel this way, but it has no reflection on me. I have my own path that I have to lead. And it's a lot easier said than done,
Yeah,
but it can be done.
absolutely. And it definitely takes work, and the work that you do, I always say the work that you do in yourself, the work that I do on myself, it's a blessing to others. It sure is,
Absolutely.
because man, I look at times where I was like, I was not the nicest person. Like, dang, I don't know how people dealt with me. But at the same time, that's why I'd be so grateful. Like, I'd just be so grateful at the people that stuck with me, because I'm like, and so I try and show that same kindness and that same compassion. But it does take getting that understanding. And I think until, like you said, I feel like that's the beginning of it, is, which is true. It's, awareness first, and then you can choose to do something about it, or you can choose to accept it and move on in a different direction with whatever it is you have going on.
Right.
And so, yeah, this was good. This was good. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the replay.
You
Anything
let me
else?
know how that goes.
Anything else you would like to share about your book, and anything else that you have going on coming up soon?
Uh, well, I think that my message has been, conveyed as to
Mm-hmm.
what I'm hoping to bring. Actually, not hoping, what I am bringing
Mm-hmm.
to the table when it comes to communicating with the youth, but also not only the youth, but the adults too, because it's a relatable book for both adults and the young adults, right? So I definitely want to keep pushing that message of finding your voice, speaking
Mm-hmm.
your truth, and understanding that not everything is personal. Not everything. You know what I mean? Again, regardless of your situation, your circumstances, it's not personal. And so once you navigate through that, you'll be able to see, again, the light at the end, because there's always a light at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be willing to look for that light. My next projects that I have coming up will be a continuation of Hope City, because this is Bella's story in the city of Hope. My
Mm-hmm.
next series will include Jolie's experience in the city of Hope. And then it's going to be Francesca. Then it's going to be Preciosa, and so forth. Because the city of Hope, it's in the title, there's
Mm-hmm.
hope at the end of it
Wow.
all. So the city part is the chaos, the craziness, the various cultures, all of that
Mm-hmm.
is just there. But there's always a glimpse of hope. And
Mm-hmm.
where I came from this is because growing up in New York City, or any city, big major city, but for
Yeah.
my case, it's New York City, you do experience the cultural shocks, right, of life. You have your group of people who are, your workers who are always on the go, 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 right? So they're just getting on the train, getting on the bus, whatever, hailing taxis. Then on this side, you have your homeless. Then on this side, you have different languages being spoken. So you have your bodegas on the corners. You just have all this noise. And then you get on the train station and you have the stench that's around you, because that's what it is. Then you have the garbage around you, because that's what it is. But as you're walking through, there's a group of people that are either singing, playing music, or just acting, perform of some type of performance. And in that moment, in that second that you stop to acknowledge the beautiful voice, the beautiful sounds, the beautiful
Mm-hmm.
art pieces, or whatever is being shown at that moment, it kind of blocks out everything that's around you, and it gives you hope that there is something better.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why it's called Hope City.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I just heard something the other day. about, planting seeds. Like, you have to plant the seed and then just leave it. Don't worry about it. It's going to happen. And to me, that's kind of what like hope is. Hope is like, okay, I'm going to plant the seed, this idea, and it's going to happen. And maybe I have to put a little bit effort into making it happen. Maybe there's some things that I can do to nurture that seed. But to me, that's what hope kind of is like, okay, I planted the seed, something's gonna happen. I can, help it along, but ultimately, like the timing of it all, it's going to happen, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so
Absolutely.
that's kind of how I experience hope in my life. And so I love this story. I can't wait. Again, we're talking about Hope City Bella's story. This is the author JB Lee. And y'all stay tuned. This was
Yay!
wonderful.
Yes.
I'll share the replay on YouTube here shortly. And
Okay.
so you can find it there. All right, y'all.
All
Have a
right.
good day. Enjoy. You stay warm. I'm about to go. I'm about to go and enjoy. I think it's getting warm outside now. No,
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
it's Florida. My daughter said that the other day. She's like, "Mom, it's only chilly in the morning, and then you'll be hot later." So, well,
Yes.
don't
Yes.
complain. That's all right.
Stop.
That's true. Yeah. All right.
All right, love. Thank you so much for this
You're
opportunity.
welcome. This was good. This was
Yes, it
good. We
was.
need to see you more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
All
Take
right.
care, everyone.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.